Leica's announcement of the M11-P today has got me excited, but it might not be for the reason that many reviewers are discussing. So in my view, while the M11-P announcement by Leica is exciting, it's not really that big of a change from the M11. First, in my view, it's really just a bunch of cosmetic changes, which I like. I don't like the red dot on the cameras, I like that black screw. An increase in internal storage to 256 megabytes, and then the new Adobe protocol C2AP to ensure that digital images are real and not AI generated. So I think if you have an M11, probably not really a worthy upgrade. You can just put a sticker over the red dot. But if you don't, and you were thinking about getting one, I think now you're going to get the M11-P. So for me, the two things that I think are more exciting are, one, this will probably lower M11 prices a little bit, and two, I'm hoping that this means Leica is going to release an M11-D. Now that's something I'm really excited about. I was actually planning on buying an M10-D because I was starting to think they weren't going to release an M11-D. Leica had its annual event in Wetzlar, Germany. It announced the Sofort 2 in a watch. I was thinking, they're not going to diversify the M11 line the way they diversified the M10 line. The monochrome came out of sequence. The M11 monochrome came out of sequence from how they did it with the M10. And so maybe that's it. They're just going to do one color camera and one monochrome for each generation now. So I'm happy to find out that that was not correct thinking, and that it looks like they are going to diversify the line. They probably will release an M11-D. So looking at the timeline of how Leica diversified the M10 line, you can see here, in January of 2017, Leica introduced the M10. It was a big jump in the M series, making the camera the size of the original Leica film cameras like the M6. 18 months later, Leica introduces the M10-P, which in my view was a bigger jump between the M10 and the M10-P than there is between the M11 and the M11-P. For example, it was a much quieter shutter in the M10-P over the M10, whereas with the M11 and M11-P, it's the same shutter. Just 2 months later, Leica introduced the M10-D, arguably my favorite and coolest M10 camera. This camera had no back screen, a wind lever that doesn't actually wind, and was the most simple and straightforward and most film-like of all M digital cameras to date. Then it wasn't until 2022 that Leica introduced the M11. About 5 months after that, Leica introduced the M11 monochrome, which was a significant departure from its strategy in the M10 line, where it took them about 2 years to release the M10 monochrome. They released that in January of 2020 after having released the M10 in 2017. Now, about 5 months after the release of the M11 monochrome, we have the M11-P. So that leaves the question to me of, will we see an M11-D in about 2 months, which was the time between the M10-P and the M10-D, just in time for Christmas, which would be ideal, or are we going to have to wait longer, probably into early 2024 for an M10-D, assuming Leica is going to make an M10-D. And man, are my fingers crossed that they will. Basically, if Leica rolls forward all the advancements that they rolled forward between the M10 and the M11, the only other thing I would have changed between the M10-D and the M11-D is that the film advance lever actually have a mechanical advance. And then you would have a ability to either turn on or off whether the camera locks up if you haven't advanced the lever, right? Just like a film camera. Click. You have to advance it to take another shot, or you can turn it off and just take it like a digital camera. That would be the only change I would make between the M10 and M11, beyond, of course, the usual M11 advancements of internal storage, better sensor, no base plate, the battery being easier to access, the USB-C charging. So what are your thoughts on this release? Are you going to go out and get the M11P? Or are you like me and more excited that this means that they're probably going to release an M11-D as well, and you're just going to wait for that camera? To be honest, I'm probably just going to hang on to the Nikon ZF I recently purchased, use it with the back screen closed until the Leica M11-D comes out. More on that topic later. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you in the next one.